Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Tuesday. We are with you for the next 3 hours here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our video stream. Our YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Our Facebook page is WIBW News. However you're checking out the program today, thanks for being with us. We look forward to having a funky good time these next 3 hours on 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Solo to start the program. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. 3 hours of sports talk. At 6 o'clock, we'll hand it back to the Royals Baseball Network for Game 2 of a 3-game series between the Royals and the Washington Nationals. Royals rally for a 7-4 win over the Nats last night in the series opener, and they'll send the man who's been their best starting pitcher since the turn from the first half to the second half, been their best starting pitcher post-All-Star break, Michael Wacha. He will try to deliver the Royals a much-needed series win at the K tonight. First pitch at 6:40. Again, pregame coverage when we're done here on 580 Sports Talk, right at the top of the 6 o'clock hour. So we will get to some baseball on today's show. Plenty of Chiefs to talk about. Jayhawk Weekly coming up. We are jam-packed on this Monday and glad that you are along for the ride. The Royals won last night, and it was one of those August games where you can tell it means more to one team than it does to the other team. There's just a little bit more grind to the Royals' late game at bats last night. And they were able to rally from a 2-0 deficit before they swung the bats and a 4-2 mid-game deficit. Salvador Perez, a game-tying 2-run home run. Kyle Isbel, a go-ahead 2-run home run. Royals tacked on insurance run the 8th against some creative players out of the Nationals bullpen. And Carlos Estevez, who is firmly in the buy the ticket, take the ride portion of his 2025 season, secured the 9th inning for the save. We'll talk about the bottom of the order heroics and some fascinating anecdotes and quotes from a story by Ian Rogers over at Royals.com, and just how much the Royals felt like they needed Adam Frazier. We joked when the Royals made that trade because it wasn't like Frazier was tearing the cover off the ball for the Pirates. We joked at the time, this is a vibes move, has to be. We were joking. We did not realize how right we are. It is entirely a vibes transaction, and the Royals knew it, and apparently they had planned to do it to the point where the players were asking for it and knew it was coming. That Adam Frazier was going to be back with the Royals. And he and Kyle Isbel have been a big part of the reason why the Royals offense has been as effective as it has been in the second half. And that is not something I would have ever expected to have said. But you don't need superstars in the bottom of the order. Sometimes you just need line movers. And those two guys in particular, Frazier and Isbel, have been line movers in the second half for the Royals, who hang up another big night on offense, a 7th spot in that win over the Nats. We'll look ahead to Game 2 of the series tonight. Mentioned Michael Wacha for the Royals, Mitchell Parker on the hill for the Nationals, and we'll talk through that later in the show. Chiefs are one more practice away from being done with training camp. If you can believe it. Feels like it just started, but training camp ends tomorrow. They had one more big practice today. They'll have a light one tomorrow. Then they'll be off Thursday. It'll be a travel day to Seattle, and that'll be that for the training camp portion of the preseason. After we're almost to the end of training camp, we've seen one preseason game. I'm going to go ahead and make a 53-man roster prediction today, and I am prepared to be wrong with what I predict, but I thought we could do a 53-man roster prediction today, and we're going to run through that a little bit later on in the show. We'll also hear from Mike Bradway, the assistant general manager of the Chiefs. He was one of many Chiefs assistants who spoke with the media in St. Joe today. This is the media's like one chance all year to get to talk to, Joe Cullen and his delightful accent, or Dave Merritt, or the passing game coordinator whose name is escaping me. But I thought it was interesting to hear what Mike Bradway had to say in the context of making a 53-man roster prediction, because he's the guy who's next to the guy, Brett Veach, who's got to make those decisions when it comes down to cut day. So we'll hear from Mike Bradway later on in the show. We'll also continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We are 24 days away from the Chiefs and the Chargers kicking off the 2025 season in Brazil. And number 24 for the Chiefs is Skyy Moore. What happened? Skyy Moore is not even being brought up like in passing as a possibility to make this 53-man roster. On his rookie deal, a second-round pick, and it is extremely unlikely at this stage that he's going to make the team. So what happened there? We'll try and talk through it. Hey, look, it can't all be, Creed Humphreys or Trey Smiths, or they can't all be those late-round steals. They can't all be second-round stars. It can't all be Travis Kelce's and Chris Jones's on day 2. But where did it all go wrong for Skyy Moore? We'll get into that a little bit as well. I mentioned Jayhawk Weekly. Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, will join me at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. He is our guest, one of our 2 guests today. Michael will talk to us about fall camp coming close to an end for the Jayhawks, as they will have their media day on Thursday. I'll be in attendance. We'll play some audio from KU Football Media Day. We'll hear from Lance Leipold and the coordinators on Thursday's edition of 580 Sports Talk. But we'll get Michael's thoughts on the final days of fall camp and a change on the men's basketball coaching staff as well. Michael Swain joins us bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Our other guest today, of course, will be the great Mitch Holthus for a training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. He's calling this nitty-gritty week. Who can do the dirty work for the Chiefs? So I don't know. I wasn't around yesterday. I don't know if he tipped his hand on who today's guest is going to be or not. So I'll sit on it for a bit. It's an offensive player. If you want to play around and guess in the YouTube comments or on the text line, feel free. Unless he spilled the beans yesterday. He may have. So I wasn't around. But we'll talk to Mitch at 5:25 this afternoon here on the show. Plus all of our usual Tuesday shenanigans, 580 Sports Talk headlines, including a very stupid, and I'm using air quotes here, you'll have to picture it if you're not watching on the YouTube, a very stupid, very silly gambling controversy in the world of college football breaking today. We've got a Random Question Tuesday. We got What Is Wrong With You as well. And we want to hear from you throughout the program today. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us in the live chat on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. Again, that's the name of the channel. Go search it. Go subscribe to it if you have not already. We are closer and closer to hitting the number 800 subscribers that will induce an arm wrestling match live on camera between myself and Brendan Brzezinski. So if you are not subscribed yet to the YouTube channel, go be a hero today. Go be a new subscriber today. Doesn't cost you anything but a click over again at our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk. And if you're watching the show live on the YouTube channel, why don't you hop in to the live chat and interact with your fellow listeners and your hosts as we go along over the next 3 hours live. Vance, Mark H, you're in. Andrew also into the chat today. Appreciate seeing you guys. Look forward to hearing from more of you as we go along on this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. You can also comment if you're watching on Facebook as well. Want to thank our Facebook viewers as well, and you can leave comments on the Facebook stream as well. Again, the name of the Facebook page is WIBW News. Royals 7, Nationals 4 last night at Kauffman Stadium. And like I said at the top, sometimes there are games where you can tell it means something to one team and it doesn't mean quite as much to the other team. And that's kind of what I got out of Royals Nationals last night. And maybe that's undersimplifying things. Maybe this is just as simple as the Nationals don't have any good pitchers. I got to be completely honest with you. They had 2 guys in the game last night in the 8th inning that I have never heard of in my whole entire life. Honest to God, Orlando Ribalta and Shinosuke Ogasawara. Never heard of those dudes in my whole entire life. And they combined to give up an insurance run. Mike Yastrzemski did a good job left on left. He hit a sac fly off of Ogasawara to make it 7-4 and allow Royals fans to breathe a little easier after the 2-out walk issue last night by Carlos Estevez in the ninth before Estevez got the final out to record his 30th save of the season. Maybe it is just that simple that the Nationals just don't have a lot of really good pitchers. Cade Cavalli, Jackson Rutledge just aren't particularly good, and that's why the Royals were able to rally back from the early deficit. But just watching the game, watching the body language, the demeanor of Royals hitters compared to Nationals hitters, you're in the dog days and you're out of it, and trust me, I know that you guys know. You've watched plenty of baseball over the years where it's August and you're 47-71 or something like that, which is the Nationals record after their loss last night. It gets real tough to dig your spikes all the way into the batter's box and put together what you would call a professional at bat. Like C.J. Abrams in the ninth last night was a perfect example. And I like C.J. Abrams, even if his professionalism was called into question last year. You remember when he essentially got kicked off the team with a week to go because he went out gambling? Like he went out to a casino in Chicago when they were out playing the Cubs or the White Sox, whoever it was. And the Nationals are so fed up with him being out late and partying that they just said, dude, go home. We got a week left in the season or whatever it was. Just go home. So, C.J. Abrams, maybe not a paragon of professionalism, good ball player, but we watched his at bat in the ninth against Carlos Estevez. He's obviously just trying to hit a home run. His team is down by 3, a solo home run with 1 out, nobody on. It doesn't do anybody any good, but he dead yanks a slider way foul, and then he tries to hit the next pitch out of the ballpark, and it's in a lazy fly to right field. Like, you compare and contrast that to the at bat that Adam Frazier had when he singled in the 8th to lead off that inning, where he gets down 2 strikes, takes his leg out of the swing, and just knocks a single into right field. Like, there's a difference. There's a difference at this stage, and you have to take advantage of that if you're the Royals, because you're playing a bunch of teams. You're playing nothing but teams this week that are in the dog days with nothing to play for. And so what I saw from the Royals last night was the kind of energy that I was hoping for and that I was anticipating. And they had to rally back because, well, the Bailey Falter experience has not been a rousing success in his 2 starts since coming over from the Pirates at the trade deadline. He only went 4 innings last night, 76 total pitches, so probably could have gone another. But if you were watching, 4 was plenty. Gave up 2 runs on 3 hits, walked 3, did strike out 5, but gave up the home run early in the game to Josh Bell. It's strange to think of a veteran pitcher, and Bailey Falter is that. He's 28, so he's not like a veteran in the same way that Seth Lugo and Michael Walker are veterans. But he's a veteran guy. He's on his 3rd team. He's in his 5th major league season. So it's odd to think about his starts as something like a work in progress, but that's what he is as far as the Royals are concerned. The Royals are trying to get more out of Bailey Falter than the Pirates were able to earlier this year. And they're tinkering a little bit with his pitch mix. If you remember his first start where he got lit up in Boston, he threw his slider more than he threw any other one of his pitches and more than he had thrown it in a game at any point in the season. And against the Nationals, which they had a few more left-handers in the lineup than Boston did. I think Boston was almost all right-handed, if not entirely right-handed when they faced Falter a week ago. But in a lineup with more left-handers, you would have expected, okay, yeah, left-handed pitcher's going to throw his slider more. No, he didn't really throw his slider much at all. He threw his curveball more in that outing and kind of pocketed the slider, which probably a good thing because one of the sliders he did throw in the first inning was that 2-run home run allowed by Josh Bell. So the Royals are still clearly working with Falter, trying to make sure they can get the pitch mix right. Right now, the data would suggest he's a fastball sinker specialist, and the Royals kind of have to lean into that a little bit. But you can't just be a fastball guy. You got to have something to keep the hitters honest, something with a little wrinkle. And all of Falter's breaking pitches this year have been bad. the baseball savant, they keep a stat, run value by pitch, basically. How valuable is each pitch that you throw? And they silo it into fastball, breaking ball, and changeup. So fastball can be 4-seam, 2-seam, sinker. Curveball, breaking ball can be a curve, slider, sweeper, something along those lines. Screwball, if you've got it, which nobody does anymore. It's too bad. You need to bring back the screwball. Brent Honeywell's the last guy I can think of that threw it. And kind of a journeyman and blew out his arm. It's not a pleasant pitch on your arm, but I'd still like to see somebody bring back the old Scroogey. Rest in peace, Fernando Valenzuela. And rest in peace, the screwball. Anyway, I digress. There's a run value by pitch, and Bailey Falter's fastballs have been worth 7 runs, and his breaking pitches have been worth -7 runs. So anything good he's doing with the fastball has been canceled out by his breaking pitches. But he's been leaning on his breaking pitches a little bit. Royals are clearly, I mean, they have the same access to the data that I do, right? They're seeing the same things. They're seeing more than I get a chance to. And they've still decided, yeah, man, we need to see the breaking ball. We've got to see the breaking ball. We got to work on this breaking ball. It has to be effective for you. And through 2 starts for the Royals, it really hasn't. Daniel Lynch came in, didn't fare a lot better in the 5th inning, gave up a 2-run home run to Royal great Paul DeYoung, who I'm sure could have been had for a song at the trade deadline. But he cleaned it up. He got out of a little jam in the 6th, and that set the stage for the Royals to rally in the 6th inning. Salvador Perez, who had a really rough trip to Minnesota, starting to cool off, come back to earth a little bit. He had 2 hits last night, including the home run off of Cavalli with Garcia on to tie the game at 4. Then Kyle Isbel, of all people, dings a 2-run dong to put the Royals in the lead for good. Isbel's 4th home run of the year. If you're curious, and I was, his career high is actually 8 home runs, which he did last year, which was pretty surprising. Right now, as it stands, Isbel's OPS, on base plus slugging, sits at 680, which isn't good, but it also represents a career high in a full season. His previous high was 662, which he did in only 91 games in 2023 back when he got hurt. But most of the damage that Isbel's done has been in the second half. 19 games since the All-Star break. Isbel's hitting .333, a .391 on base, and a .460 slug in 72 plate appearances. Now, I would love to tell you this is Kyle Isbel turning over a new leaf and becoming a better version of himself. But what's really happening is everything off the bat of Kyle Isbel is finding green grass. He's got a .392 batting average on balls in play, which is not particularly sustainable. That's the bad news. I regret to inform all of you that there's a little fool's gold with this second half surge for Kyle Isbel. But it's like I've been saying, and it's been true for the Royals in the second half, as now in, I believe we're 22 games into the second half. And the Royals have scored 5 or more runs 12 times in those 22 games. And it doesn't require that all 9 hitters be red hot. It doesn't even require that all 5 of your good hitters at the top of the order, all 4, and Garcia, your big guns, Garcia, Perez, Pasquantino, and Bobby Witt Jr. It doesn't even require that all 4 of those guys be red hot at the same time. You just need some kind of contribution from the bottom half of your batting order. Right now, it's Isbel giving you that contribution, and it's allowing your top of the order guys to bat with runners in scoring position more often, lengthening innings, lengthening games, putting more stress on opposing pitchers. It's been really positive to see Isbel do this because for the first half of the season wasn't anybody. It doesn't have to be everybody hot, but it can't be everybody slumping. It can't be 4 guys hitting 6 through 9, all batting 180 or whatever it was. And that's kind of what it was for the better part of the first half of the season, where first it was MJ Melendez or Hunter Renfroe. Then it was Jack Caglione struggling, or Michael Massey was in those spots in the order and struggling. Certainly Freddie Fermin didn't get off to a great start offensively, though Saw he homered the other night. He's swinging a good bat for San Diego. I think both sides have to be happy with that deadline deal, the Padres and the Royals. That is the objective. We play too much fantasy sports, and we think the objective is to win every trade. Nah, man, you go into a trade thinking, both sides come out of this happy. That's pretty good. Right now, both Padres and the Royals have to be happy with the Freddie Fermin for Ryan Bergert and Stephen Kolek trade. That's a digression. But bottom half of the order, first half of the year, didn't hit. And now, here in the second half of the season, you've gotten a little something on a periodic basis, whether it's been, and really you can go back to the start of July when things started to turn after that rough June for the Royals. You can go back to the start of July when Caglione started to show a bit of a pulse before he got hurt, when Nick Lofton had that really good series against the Pirates. John Rave had that excellent series in Miami. Now Isbel's going. Adam Frazier is 8 for his last 10. It doesn't need to be everybody. It's just got to be somebody or two somebodies. And when you get that, that's going to enable you to support this pitching staff. Even with the injuries, this is still a pitching staff that has held it together, and they don't need you to score 8 runs a night to win. It takes 7, that's for sure. But even 4 to 5 a night, even if it's that, even if it's an upgrade of just 1 run per game on a per game basis, compared to what it was for the better part of the first half for the Royals. And it's going to give them a better chance to win a lot more ball games. Speaking of that pitching staff, I wanted to point out the work last night of Angel Zerpa and John Schreiber, who are increasingly important in this bullpen with Hunter Harvey back to the injured list. Schreiber clean 7th with a strikeout. Zerpa works around a hit, strikes a batter out, and works a clean 8th. I would prefer it if those guys were not the 3rd and 4th best guys in the Royals bullpen. That's unquestionably what they are right now. You have Estevez in the 9th. You have Urseg in the 7th or the 8th, depending on the matchup. And then you have Schreiber and Zerpa. Those are your plus side guys right now. Steven Cruz is on the shelf. Hunter Harvey's hurt again. But those guys have been largely decent this year. Not spectacular, but fairly reliable. Not too many hideous blow-up type outings. That's not to say they haven't given up runs. Both guys have ERA sitting in the mid-3s. We're not talking about, HDH type stuff from those guys. But they've been solid. They've been throwing strikes. They're putting in some good work, and they're hugely important. So more nights like that are going to be very imperative for this Royals team as they try to hold those leads through the middle inning and turn the game over to the guys that you trust in the 8th and the 9th. We'll take a quick break here on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting revved up on this Tuesday. I want to talk more about Adam Frazier and very funny anecdotes and quotes from revealing quotes, I would say, from Ann Rodgers of MLB.com and Royals.com about what Frazier has brought to the Royals, and also what he's bringing on a tangible basis has been quite nice as well. We got plenty of Chiefs to talk about, including 53-man roster projection coming up in the 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock hour. Mitch Holthus for training camp report coming up at 5:25. Jayhawk Weekly with Michael Swain, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. We're just getting started on this Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us here on 580 Sports Talk. 3:33 on 580 Sports Talk. Just getting warmed up on this Tuesday. Thanks for being with us. Apparently, the Royals knew that something was in the works for Adam Frazier before Adam Frazier knew that it was likely he was going to return to the Pirates. That's revealed in what I thought was a really good piece by Ann Rogers over at Royals.com, talking about what Frazier's impact on the Royals has been since he was reacquired on July 16th. Apparently, the team ran into Frazier. They were staying in the same hotel. The Pirates flew into Seattle. They had an off day, so they flew in on that Thursday. Remember, it would have been the beginning of July when the Royals had that 4-game series there in Seattle. So they had an overlap day. They were playing in Seattle on Thursday, and the Pirates were there, and both teams were staying in the same hotel. It's pretty common that the visiting team hotel is the same. And so Frazier got a chance to meet up with some of his former teammates, and all of them were telling him, hey, man, we would really like to have you back. And Frazier is quoting the article saying, for a lot of guys say how much I mean to the team and clubhouse is great. I'm like, what happened? But no, it's always something you always want to hear, but I didn't realize it until they started bringing it up. Well, then you'll recall a week later, in early July, the homestand before the All-Star break, the Pirates came to town, and Frazier was playing for the Pirates and reached first base, and Salvador Perez saw him reach base and told him, and Frazier recounting this, quote, hey, keep doing what you're doing. Stay healthy. I'll see you in a couple weeks. So the players very clearly, I don't know if it was seeing him that jogged their memory or just the ongoing feeling, especially as they went through that miserable June where it just seemed like they could never get going and went 8-18 in June. I don't know if that was the catalyst for realizing, hey, we need some better vibes around here. And you know, our vibes guy was last year, Adam Frazier. Wouldn't it be great if we get Adam Frazier again? And somebody or somebodies with some stroke must have gone to JJ Piccolo and said, hey, man, can you make this happen? Can we go get our guy? Can we go get our buddy? Very funny that is apparently how that went down. And Vinny Pasquantino is also quoted in this article over at Royals.com regarding the trade. Quote, it was like a breath of fresh air for us. And that's the kind of thing that people on the outside don't see. But this is just a huge addition for our team. There are things you cannot quantify with him. We've played better since he got here. We've scored more runs. That's not a surprise to us. I mentioned earlier, with last night's 7-run outburst, the Royals have now scored 5 or more runs in 12 of their first 22 games since the All-Star break. That's more than half of the games they're scoring 5+ runs. They scored 5+ in 21 games in the entire first half. 21 out of 97, they scored 5 or more. 12 of 22 since the All-Star break. So a texter asked on the 785 or points out from the 785 on our text line, 785-272-9429, that he believes the Royals bats are still due for some positive regression. I think you're in the middle of it. I think that's what you're seeing right now. Over the last month, the Royals team OPS is at 750. For the season, it's 688. But over the last month, over the last 28 days worth of games, that's 22 games because you have the All-Star break in there. So this is the entire second half. Convenient. Thank you, Baseball Reference. Very convenient. The Royals' OPS as a team in the second half is 750. To give you an idea, the 750 OPS, if that had been the entire season, they would have the 8th best offense in baseball. The 8th best OPS in baseball. The only teams with a higher season OPS than that, Sacramento, the A's, Boston, the Cubs, the Blue Jays, the Diamondbacks, the Yankees, and the Dodgers. So you're seeing, I think, and it's a good point by the texter, but you're seeing that positive regression. And on the one hand, it's really easy to look at Adam Frazier and be like, he's a punch and Judy hitter. How much is he really going to contribute to a team offensively? Well, he's hitting 333 since he came back. He's 8 for his last 10. And look, only 4 of those hits are for extra bases, 19 of 57 since joining the Royals. And only 4 of those 19 hits are for extra bases. So he is who he is, right? But clearly there's more to it than just the raw production. I thought this quote was also revealing from Kyle Isbel, quote, talking about Frazier. Quote, "It's just the knowledge of the game. The experience is a big factor. Bringing a guy like Frazier, who's been around, who could probably easily be a manager one day, and the confidence behind that, bringing it to the group, you just can't take it for granted. It's special for sure." You think about some of the guys who were on the bench to start the season, some of your reserve role guys. You had Hunter Renfroe, who wasn't producing and dropped pretty quickly. You had Mark Canha, who wasn't producing. You had Drew Waters, who had a brief flicker of production and then stopped producing. You had Kevin Biggio, who, he's not a spring chicken. He's 30, but he's not a guy who's been around the major leagues a whole lot. So what you have is you either have guys who were younger, and then when they start calling guys up like Nick Lofton or, younger guy, Michael Massey's a younger guy, Tyler Tolbert's 27, like the reserve guys, the guys who know they're not going to play every day, you either had, real young guys, or you had veteran guys who were not producing, were a negative, a drag on the team. Well, Adam Frazier was a negative and a drag on the 2024 Royals. Let's not get it confused. He was horrible last year, looking at the numbers. But the fact that he made the impression that he did, despite hitting 202 or whatever it was for the 2024 Royals, tells you there is value. You got 26 spots on the roster. There is value in having, at the end of it, your 26th most important guy can be a vibes and energy and veteran guy. Somebody who helps the team in ways that go beyond the stat sheet. And clearly, Adam Frazier did that in ways we couldn't imagine because we're not privy to it. We're not in the clubhouse every day. We don't travel with those guys. We don't sit in the dugout with those guys. But clearly, Adam Frazier meant a great deal to that baseball team, to the point where apparently that trade was by request. I didn't know J.J. Piccolo took requests. It's like an afternoon DJ. He took requests. He took a request. Go get us Adam Frazier, man. We need him. We need Frazier. We'll take a time out here at 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, we continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We're going to pivot to football a little bit. 24 days away. That means we're talking about number 24, and we're not going to be talking about him a whole lot longer, I don't think. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. 344 and 580 Sports Talk. We'll get back into some Royals baseball later on in the show. Look ahead to Game 2 of their 3-game set against the Nationals tonight. 6 o'clock pregame, 6:40 first pitch right here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Like a Waka bump day for KC against Mitchell Parker for the Nationals. Spencer will be in later on. He'll tell you how bad Mitchell Parker is, I assume. Not a lot of great pitching happening in D.C., in the nation's capital this year. We continue our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. We are 24 days away from the Week 1 matchup in Brazil between the Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers that will open the 2025 season. You guys know the drill by now, certainly. We've been counting down from 99 onward, and every Chief that wears the uniform number, that is our discussion point of the day on our countdown to Chiefs kickoff. Well, number 24 for the Kansas City Chiefs is Skyy Moore. And there is a lot of talk. We did a lot of it yesterday coming out of the preseason opener against the Cardinals. We had talked a lot about the wide receiver group for the Chiefs and how impressive it has been in camp, how a guy like Tyquan Thornton has kind of forced his way from last year's practice squad from being a second-round cast-off by the Patriots to now just about a lock for the 53-man roster. We talked about Jason Brownlee and his impressive touchdown catch in the preseason opener. We talked about Nico Remigio and what he can do in the return game and how that might snag him a roster spot. We are not talking about Skyy Moore. We are not talking about Skyy Moore because Skyy Moore on Saturday in the preseason opener, he did a lot of what he has done best for the Chiefs the last 2 seasons, and that is cardio. Nobody looks better going in motion and then not being involved in the play whatsoever than Skyy Moore. I always notice him in motion. They love to motion Skyy Moore. After that, he could do whatever. He could motion to the outside and then go get a hot dog. He's never part of the play. And we were making these jokes last year about, man, Skyy's just getting cardio in. And then he's getting cardio in the preseason. That ain't good. That's not what you want. The draft class of 2022 is, of course, you're keenly aware, is going to go down in Chiefs history as one of the very best ever. Trent McDuffie, 21 overall. George Karlaftis, number 30 overall. That is already, in and of itself, you'd leave with those two guys and feel really good about your draft. But then it was, of course, Brian Cook, starter. Leo Chanel, starter. Joshua Williams has started games. Isaiah Pacheco has helped the team. Jalen Watson has helped the team. It's a pretty darn good draft class, 2022. And Karlaftis has gotten paid, and McDuffie's going to get paid. And they've got decisions to make on Brian Cook and Leo Chanel and Isaiah Pacheco and Jalen Watson after this season. And Najee Johnson as well. Joshua Williams looks like they maybe already made that decision, speaking of guys who aren't likely to make the 53-man roster. But that's less about him than it is about the quality at the position, right? The decision has definitely already been made about Skyy Moore. If he's a Chief on this 53-man roster, he surely will not be a Kansas City Chief in 2026, barring something that none of us could expect. So, what happened there? Right? Because you go back and you look at the draft, and it's pretty clear there was a run on wide receivers in the second round, and the Chiefs were in the market for a wide receiver in the draft. And there was a run on wide receivers. With the 50th pick, New England took, hey, how about that? Tyquan Thornton. Then Philadelphia took a stud, Cam Jurgens out of Nebraska, who's their longtime, going to be their center for however long he wants to be. George Pickens went 52nd to Georgia. A nutcase, but a manifestly gifted football player. Alec Pierce, who is quite fragile, but very talented, out of Cincinnati. He went 53rd. So the Chiefs probably felt like, we better go get our guy at wide receiver. And then they went up and they got Skyy Moore. And the pick after that was Trey McBride. I know who I'd rather have. Other players who went later in that first round include Cam Taylor-Britt. Be a nice guy to have. Luke Gedecke's a starting offensive lineman. Nick Bonito, it looks like the next star pass rusher in Denver. He's going to get a nice contract. James Cook went 63rd. James Cook went nine picks after Skyy Moore. We're going to talk about him in headlines today. The wide receiver group, it should be said, really thins out after that. Like Velus Jones was the next wide receiver taken at number 71, if you're asking who exactly. Jalen Tolbert went 88 to Dallas. David Bell went 99th to Cleveland. And Danny Gray went 105th to San Francisco. So those are your third-round wide receivers. Not exactly a stellar compilation there. There's a good one in the fourth round. Romeo Doubs has had his moments for the Packers. And Khalil Shakir in the fifth round has got a second contract already from Buffalo, so has certainly had his moments. But Skyy Moore seems like he's on his way out. And it's mystifying because you can't point to, oh, well, the Chiefs, they don't develop wide receivers good or something. Like, no, they pretty clearly have done a good job drafting guys and getting them to be productive pros. Rashee Rice was a second-round pick the next year. Look at him. Xavier Worthy is on the right track. Tyreek Hill, pretty nice find for them. McCole Hardman, say what you will, but had some productive moments in his NFL career. Not quite on the level of those other guys, but still like a productive NFL player, got a second contract. If Skyy Moore gets a second contract, it's going to be not in this league, right? So you can't say, oh, it's a failure of player development, because it would be really surprising if the Chiefs just failed to develop a player. You can't point to injury or anything like that. All you can do with Skyy Moore is kind of just shrug, right? It just wasn't good. Why? I don't know. Sometimes you draft a guy and they're not very good. Sometimes you miss. It's not the first time the Chiefs have misevaluated, have missed on a high pick. They missed on Clyde Edwards-Helaire. There was an injury factor there, but they missed on that pick. They missed on Breeland Speaks, right? They appear to have missed on Felix Anudike-Uzomah. That's looking more and more like a miss. There's still time, but the sands of the hourglass are, shortening for Felix as a former first-round pick. A lot more hits than misses for this front office. Don't get it confused. That's why they're where they are. But Skyy Moore is not a guy you can point to and say it's any one thing. It never heard a story about him being a bad teammate or a malcontent or anything like that. Just it hasn't worked out. And there were opportunities his first couple of seasons. He caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl. Don't forget, his first NFL touchdown came in the Super Bowl in 2022. He's got one more since then. And last year, played in 6 games, had 3 targets, and did not have an NFL reception. And whatever number you wanted to give me on the number of receptions as a Kansas City Chief for Skyy Moore the rest of his career, I would take the under, because can't keep 10 receivers. And well, he might be wide receiver 10 right now. He might be the 10th guy in that room. Doesn't seem like it's for a lack of being a good teammate or a hard worker or lack of hustle or anything like that. Sometimes it doesn't work out. And we've gotten our jokes off on this show. I've gotten my jokes off on this segment at the beginning of this segment about Skyy Moore. But at the end of the day, man, sometimes you get to the league and you're just not quite good enough. And so it goes with the Chiefs, number 24, Skyy Moore. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up this hour 580 Sports Talk right after this. Wrapping up this first hour of 580 Sports Talk on a lovely Tuesday in the capital city. My name is Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is going to join me here in a little bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. Still to come on the program, two great guests. We got Jayhawk Weekly with Michael Swain, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Getting so close to the next time we've got our KU and our K-State guys this week. We had Michael Swain today. We get Tim Fitzgerald tomorrow. And then next week, when we talk to those guys, we're going to be previewing football games, man. It's almost here. It is so close. I'm getting the itch. Like, I don't know if I'm sure I've said this out loud. I've been on the air long, and I've said a lot of stuff out loud on this program. Some of it I wish I could have back. But I'm sure I've said this at some point. I am more of a fan of college football, just as a viewer of, like, just as a sports fan. Even though I don't have what you would call like a favorite team. I went to a Division III school. I don't have like an alma mater that I follow religiously, or I didn't grow up in a college sports town or a college sports state for that matter. But I love college football, and I like it better than I like the NFL. Like, I get more torqued for a college football Saturday than NFL Sunday. And that may not be you. That may not be everybody's experience, but I love college football. I'm so hyped for it to be back. I've been watching that Netflix show, that SEC Any Given Saturday, and I know a lot of people, you're tired of all the SEC stuff. You're tired of the SEC hype. I get it. I understand feeling that way. But I needed that to get my fix. Like, I missed college football, man. I am ready. I'm ready for it to be back. I'm jonesing. So we're going to talk about the end of fall camp for KU with Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. He'll join us at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Of course, at 5:25 today, another training camp report with Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. He will join us for what he is calling nitty-gritty week on the training camp reports. We're going to start the 4 o'clock hour with a look at the Chiefs' 53-man roster as I see it today. Who would be on it if we did like a Freaky Friday type of thing and I was Brett Veach and I had to make all the cuts today? I'll tell you what I would do. Plus, we got What Is Wrong With You and Michael Swain. That's all coming up on the next hour of 580 Sports Talk here on WIBW. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct for hour number 2 on a Tuesday. Thanks so much for being with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com. And, of course, on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you here for 2 more hours. We will break away at 6 o'clock because that's what we always do, but we will hand it off at 6 o'clock to the Royals Baseball Network. Pre-game coverage, game 2 out of 3 between the Royals and the Nationals. 6:40 first pitch, 6 o'clock pregame from the Royals Baseball Network here at 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. Spencer, we had some people in the chat ask if you were too ashamed to show your face because the Nationals coughed up a pair of 2-run leads last night. And I stuck up for you, but the people want to hear your answer.
I'm here, right?
You are. You're here. You're here now.
Therefore, that was not a problem. No, I have all but gone to the tank mode here, like go full throttle. If you watch the Royals broadcast, that's what I watched last night for a little bit. I switched back and forth between the broadcasts, but there's a reason why they give up a lot of runs, and that's because they have the worst bullpen in the majors.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. They have the 28th ranked starting, the ERA. Sorry, ERA. They have the 30th ranked ERA in baseball for a bullpen.
I understand that is what the numbers say. What I am telling you is it cannot be worse than the ongoing disaster that is in Colorado.
All right, we're going to argue about who's the worst between our two teams. And then the 28th ranked ERA for starters is the Nationals. So I'm not surprised.
Do you need me to tell you who's 30th? You don't.
No.
You don't. No, nobody does.
But
anyway,
I was expecting it to happen. I was like, oh, they're going to play some. They're going to actually do well tonight. I was really confused why the Nats didn't trade Josh Bell, because he's a second half guy, apparently.
Yeah, he was terrible in the first month of the year. But
first month and a half.
I've only ever seen Josh Bell rake. Like every time I turn on a game, and again, some of this is because the team I watch most often has terrible pitching, but I swear to you, it doesn't matter. If I turn a baseball game on and Josh Bell is in the batter's box, I think he's going to hit a home run. Like every time.
Yeah.
Dude scalds the baseball when I watch Josh Bell play.
It's just funny because he's
got a career OPS plus a 114. Like he's good.
It's funny to me that he's always been the trade guy.
Yeah, he is bounced. This is the first year he hasn't been traded at the deadline since 2021.
Yes,
that's crazy.
Every year he's just like the guy they signed. So if they're selling at the deadline, we'll trade that guy because he's probably hitting pretty well.
Yeah, switch hitter. Yeah, that was weird. He didn't find a new home this year. Anyway, game 2 of that series, like I said tonight, we'll get to that a little bit later on. Still to come on the program today. Jayhawk Weekly at the bottom of this hour with Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. We'll talk to Michael about all things KU coming up on the end of fall football camp with the opener next Saturday. The booth reopens as Fresno State comes to town. Also, Mitch Holthus joins us at 5:25 for a training camp report presented by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. We got What Is Wrong With You coming up here in a little bit as well. But I wanted to start the hour with a look at the Chiefs and their 53-man roster. We were joking about this yesterday. There was somebody out on social media talking about, man, the Chiefs already have 8 roster spots spoken for at wide receiver. And it's like, well, no. Not really how it works. Most teams don't keep 8 wide receivers, and this is certainly not going to be a team, I think, that keeps 8 wide receivers. 7 at the absolute most. And then that got me to thinking. And before I knew it, I had a 53-man roster projection. I've been giving you players that I believed were locks throughout the process. I gave you locks going into training camp. I've given you locks after a couple of weeks of training camp. I gave you locks based on the first depth chart. Now I'm just going to go shift into prediction mode here. And going to give you the 53-man roster as I see it shaking out right here and right now. There is going to be a cop-out here, just so you know. I'm going to cop to it. There will be a cop-out. It will come very early. You will recognize it when you see it. But other than that, I feel pretty strongly about this 53-man projection. I do. We'll start at quarterback. I think Patrick Mahomes and Gardner Minshew are going to make the team. I think I feel pretty good about that. That's 2.
I think Q's not confident, and that is wild if you think that somebody else is going to be the backup.
Yeah,
or that they're going to keep 3.
Yeah, they haven't kept 3 in a long time. So yeah, the two of the 53 spots are spoken for. We'll get special teams out of the way too, because those spots are spoken for as well. Harrison Butker, Matt Araiza, and long snapper James Winchester. So you're up to 5 of the 53. I think 4 running backs make the team. I think Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, Rashard Smith, and here's that cop-out, I promise. Player X is going to make the team. The Chiefs are keeping 4. I don't think the 4th running back is on the roster. I don't think it's going to be Elijah Mitchell. I don't entirely believe it's going to be Carson Steele. Right now, if you ask me, okay, how to arrange the running backs that the Chiefs have in camp and make sure that you've got the most complementary group of running backs, I would lean Steele over Elijah Mitchell, because I don't think Mitchell gives you anything so spectacular that Isaiah Pacheco or Rashard Smith can't get you, unless Rashard Smith can't read a playbook at this point. I think that you go with the younger, more explosive option for running back number 3. And then they don't have that blocking presence, that third down back that we've talked about. Who would be in this running back group best equipped to stand next to Patrick Mahomes and pick up a blitzing linebacker on 3rd down and 7 or 3rd down and 10? And right now, the answer to that, I think, is Carson Steele. So I would lean, honestly, if it were just the guys in the room, I would lean Carson Steele over Elijah Mitchell right now, based on what I've seen, based on what I've heard. But I don't think Carson Steele solves that problem in the same way that Jerick McKinnon and Samaje Perine have solved that problem over the years. So I think the Chiefs are going to be watching the waiver wire just like they did last year when they added Samaje Perine. And I think that the Chiefs' 3rd down running back option, whoever he is, I don't think he's in camp yet. I don't think we know who it is. But I think that player is going to make the team, along with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and Rashard Smith. But you ran into something today that is maybe down on Smith's chances.
Yeah, I saw somebody else yesterday and maybe even Sunday, some guy eating tape that writes or covers the Chiefs in some capacity. I don't know who you are, but I did see it. I didn't bookmark it or like the tweet. But today I did see Matt Connor, the of Arrowhead Addict. They believe that's the SB Nation.
No, Arrowhead Pride is SB Nation. Okay. Arrowhead Addict is...
Oh, it's just Arrowhead Addict. Fan-sided.
Yeah, fan-sided, yeah. That's what I was looking for. I knew SI, but not really SI. Yeah, fan-sided.
He posted on X 3 hours ago. I'm not entirely sure Brashard is a roster lock, referring to Rashad Smith. So I think that is becoming a thought by some reporting, some people that watch the Chiefs on a daily basis, that maybe about a month ago before training camp, it's like, how does this guy not make the roster? He's impressed so much.
Yeah, the hype has definitely died down. The hype has died down with Rashard Smith. He didn't exactly light the world on fire in the preseason game, and it was maybe telling that he didn't get any first-team snaps either. I think he's a project player, and the question is, do the Chiefs feel like they could get him through to the practice squad? Because if they feel like they can get him through the practice squad, and he's a 7th-round guy, so you might be able to, then that might be the direction they go. But if they don't feel like they can keep him on the practice squad, I think he makes the team. So, but there's no question that the hype has died down a little bit, that it is not the same sort of buzz around Smith that there was in the summer and in OTAs. But I still think he makes the team with Isaiah Pacheco, Kareem Hunt, and then player X, running back X. Wide receiver, I think they keep 6 right now. Rashee Rice, Xavier Worthy, Hollywood Brown, Jalen Royals, Juju Smith-Schuster, Tyquan Thornton. I think 6 is the number there. I'll get back to why I think it's 6. I think it's 4 tight ends. I've always thought it would be 4 tight ends. I think 4 tight ends makes sense given how the Chiefs like to operate on offense, especially if they're not going to keep a fullback. So I think the tight ends, I think that group is set with Travis Kelce, Noah Gray, Robert Tonyan, and Jared Wiley, probably in that order on the depth chart. 9 offensive linemen. I think the 9 are pretty set in stone, although I will advocate the 9, the starters, Josh Simmons, Kingsley Suamataia, Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, Jawan Taylor, Jalen Moore, Mike Caliendo, Hunter Norzad, Wanye Morris are your backups. You know who I thought looked good? We didn't get to talk about him on Monday. But you know who I thought looked really intriguing at tackle in the second half of that preseason game? Esapole from Washington State. Kid who's got a great story. Didn't play high school football. Any high school football. His brother played some college football. He asked his brother, hey, can I learn how to play football? I'm a pretty big guy. I might be able to get to college playing some football. Yeah, that's exactly what ended up happening. He got to college. He finished up at Washington State. I thought he played well. And honestly, when it comes to, I know you'd rather have a known commodity on your roster, which is why I still predict Morris will make the team. But I like Esapole's prospects for the future more than I like Wanye Morris's prospects for the future. I really do. And I wonder if you've already got a tackle number 3 that you feel comfortable with, maybe you keep a project as tackle number 4, like they've done in the past with Prince Tega Winogo. So keep an eye on that one. But Morris, I still think I would predict he would make the team based on just today. 9 defensive linemen, George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, Mike Pinnell, Mike Dana, Ashton Gelati, Omar Norman-Lott, Jerry Tillery, Charles Omenihu, Felix Anudike Uzama. Have trouble seeing them keeping more than 9. 6 linebackers, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquil, Leo Chanel, Jack Cochran, Jeffrey Bassa, and Cam Jones. Cochran and Jones for their special teams aptitude. They talked on the broadcast on Saturday that the defensive staff really likes Jack Cochran. They trust him to be third in line to wear the green dot if something were to happen to Bolton or Tranquil. They trust him. He knows the defense, smart player. I don't think he's real athletic. I think I saw him get beaten coverage a couple of times. I saw him miss a tackle. I don't think he's a super athlete by any stretch. He kind of strikes me as you like him for the same reasons that Steve Spagnuolo really liked Daniel Sorensen. I trust that he will be in the right place and that he will execute an assignment. Do I necessarily trust that he's going to make the athletic play? Well, no. But he knows what to do, and he knows how to play. And he's one of those guys. Plus, he helps Dave Tove's special teams unit. So Cochran's going to make the team. Defensive backs. This is where I have 10. Now, this could be a spot where they drop an EB for a wide receiver or a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman. But I think it's going to be 10 defensive backs. Trent McDuffie, Christian Fulton, Jalen Watson, Shamari Connor, Brian Cook, Jaden Hicks, Mike Edwards, Noel Williams, Nazeeh Johnson, and Chris Roland Wallace. And if they only keep 9, I think it's between the last 2 guys. And I talked yesterday, I feel like there's more versatility for Roland Wallace, but we know Steve Spagnuolo really likes Nazeeh Johnson and that they're not willing to give up on him at this stage. So the solution for me is keep them both. I want to see Chris Roland Wallace on this team. I like his versatility. He can be effectively kind of fill the Deion Bush role where, he's a guy who's on the fringes of the roster. Maybe he's not active every week, but he can pitch in, play some safety, play some slot, and help you as a core special teamer. So those are my 53 guys. The ones I feel least confident in, the DB mix, if they only keep 9, would it be Johnson or Roland Wallace? Honestly, I have no idea. It could go either way. I thought Roland Wallace was better game 1 of the preseason for whatever that means. It comes down to, does Dave Tobe get the roster spot or does Steve Spagnuolo get the roster spot maybe? And I do wonder if they drop that spot and then they carry 7 wide receivers and it's Nico Remigio, if he's going to be your top return option and that squeezes somebody else off the roster. But I don't see him keeping fewer than 4 tight ends, fewer than 4 running backs, fewer than 9 offensive linemen, fewer than 9 defensive linemen, fewer than 6 linebackers. I think I have the numbers right. Feel good about the numbers, except at DB. It might be 9 DBs and they take that kind of wild card spot and give it to Remigio or give it to Carson Steele and have 5 running backs.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to agree with you on your numbers. I don't necessarily, that running back position to me is still up in the air at this point. I think Elijah Mitchell could impress in the next 2 preseason games, and they could give it to him. And Carson Steele also is like player X wild card to me. Like, is he that valuable on special teams? Because he's like a fullback.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, not very many teams have a fullback on their roster.
This is true. The Chiefs have always kind of valued that, and they've been less resistant to move away from a fullback. But
then sometimes he's been inactive.
Yeah.
So I think that number is 4, but I don't necessarily think there's still 2 preseason games for me. That's the one that I'm biggest question mark of who gets in.
Right. It's good that we get 2 more data points, right? To make a more informed choice. But that's how I do it after game 1. Mike Bradway spoke to the media earlier today in St. Joe. He's the assistant general manager for the Chiefs. We never get to hear these guys talk. But Mike Bradway spoke and fielded some interesting questions, talked for about 5 minutes earlier today. And since he's involved with cutting this roster down from the 90-man training camp roster to 53, thought it would be instructive to maybe hear what the assistant to Brett Veach has to say. Here's Mike Bradway from earlier today in St. Joe.
When some of you are in camp, what's your job like as far as, especially when the injuries pop in, because you've had a couple of new additions with Keyshawn, Matt, Wiley today. What's kind of the process when you have those things pop up here in camp?
Yeah, quickly, we're communicating with our pro department, just getting a quick list together of street free agents, maybe 3, 4, 5 guys that, we'll bring in for a workout, pretty quickly. Just get them on a plane, get them here, work them out, and hopefully sign one of them. So it's kind of a group effort, just identifying certain street free agents. They could be guys that just got cut, guys that, maybe been in the UFL. So there's certainly a process to kind of get those names together.
Like, if you look at what you guys have a wide receiver, how do you balance just taking the best 6, 7 guys versus having diversity in that room, and maybe somebody offers something that just somebody doesn't? What that conversation would be?
Yeah, I think typically, I think, the way I see it, I think in the past, you kind of want to build it like almost like a basketball team a little bit, different skill sets, different type of players, which I think, we have a lot of talented, players in the room. There's a lot of really good competition. But I think you can balance speed, physicality, run after catch, special teams aspect. So you want to have a lot of diversity in the room in terms of skill sets. But the special team aspect is huge, especially for those depth guys.
I wonder if you could describe the process of watching the other preseason games for potential cuts later on that may be of interest.
Yeah, so our guys, from the first preseason, the Hall of Fame game, throughout the preseason, our pro department, they each have, a handful of teams that they're watching. They're probably watching 25, 30 guys per team, mostly younger players, maybe some young vets that they feel like maybe on the bubble that could potentially help, maybe our 53, but also, could be practice squad guys down the road. So they're tagging those guys in our system. And those are the guys that get funneled to, myself, Chris, Veach, Nutt, and Tim Terry. And then we'll get together, around the Bears game, and we'll meet for a couple of days and just, kind of condense that list. Maybe there's only 4 or 5 guys that legitimately we might, target.
Any thoughts on how we talk about the supposed draft as a whole, like the offensive tackle? What have you seen from him so far, and what makes him intriguing at this point?
Yeah, he's a big kid, big strong kid that can play both tackle spots. Had a good all-star game, and he's certainly got physical traits. Now I think it's just being consistent and stacking days and eliminating the errors. But talented kid that he's fit in well with the room. There's a lot of really good competition there for depth spots there. We feel good about our depth especially in the second group. So he's got potential, but he's got to keep showing it.
You mentioned good depth. Is there any particular area where you feel like that the depth is maybe deeper than you've gotten into training camp than maybe expected?
Yeah, I think our D-line depth's a strength right now, and I think we've definitely gotten stronger. Really on both lines. I like our the additions we made on the offensive line. In addition to the defensive line, that's both for agency and the draft. I like our linebacker depth. As we talked about receivers. I think this is a year where there's going to be a lot of tough conversations. Multiple spots. It's not going to be easy for there's going to be players. Unfortunately, we released that our NFL players are going to be playing for other teams.
A couple more.
I'm just touching on this line, but just going into the offseason, big picture, I mean, there's always emphasized defensive offensive lines. But this offseason, I mean, there's the conversations like this needs to be the top priority.
Yeah, I think so. And listen, it wasn't. I don't think it was just because of the Super Bowl. I think it was just that's just kind of how we want to build the roster, and we want to infuse it with youth and talent. And fortunately, through free agency and the draft, we were able to do that. And feel good with it's a good blend of youth experience. I think guys with versatility. So really, really encouraged by what we've seen so far.
Last year, you were pretty active at the end of the cut down deadline, knowing that you're 31 on the waiver wire this year. You've got some old friends that are pretty high on the waiver wire that might be familiar with your guys.
Yeah.
How much stringy chest is going in there as far as if you want somebody on the waiver wire, you're going to have to move in the string?
Yeah, and that's just the reality of it. It's a good problem to have. It means you've done pretty well that you're far down on the claim. But yeah, right now when we're talking to every team in the league. I mean, myself, all our contacts. We're just gathering information now. So whether that would mean potentially trading for a guy, doing a play-for-player swap, maybe there could be a guy that you think might be available to claim. We're going to be active. I mean, we're going to watch as much tape as possible. We're going to, and maybe it just doesn't work out, but we're going to identify certain players that we think could help us now down the road, and we'll see where it goes.
That was Mike Bradway. He's the assistant general manager of the Kansas City Chiefs, speaking earlier today in St. Joe. We'll take a time out here on 580 Sports Talk. When we come back, it's a round of What Is Wrong With You. And then Michael Swain joins us for Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk. is What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. We've got two new stories today competing with our Monday champion. Not really a nurse, a Florida woman who was arrested for treating over 4,000 patients without a license. The only reason she got caught, she was too good at her job and was eligible for a promotion. So they checked out her paperwork and were like, well, wait a second. You're not actually licensed to do this. That's wild. You were so good. You didn't arouse any suspicion. And, now she's in deep trouble because, practicing medicine without a license, not real good.
So if you do that, does your wake-up call to be mediocre?
I don't know, like spill a dose of something every now and again. Drop something on the floor, like a scalpel or something. Just a little bit, a hint of incompetence could have saved your job. Not much to your story today, Spencer, so why don't you go first?
Yeah, we're going to go to Florida. Manatee County detectives are investigating a shooting and a stabbing that left a man and a woman with non-life-threatening injuries on Tuesday morning. According to the Manatee County Sheriff's Office, deputies went to a home in Bradenton around 8 p.m. and found a 21-year-old man outside with 2 gunshot wounds. As deputy approached him, 24-year-old Willie Hayes walked out of the home and said he shot his brother after he saw him stab his girlfriend. Yikes. When deputies went inside, they found Willie Hayes' 23-year-old girlfriend in the bedroom suffering from multiple stab wounds.
Jeez.
Deputies provided first aid until EMS was there. They took her to the hospital. Both are expected to survive, but there's no reason stated.
No motive?
No motive.
I think we have motive for the shooting.
Yeah,
I think we have
shooting,
motive
but not for the
part.
stabbing.
Right. No.
But everyone is expected to survive and be okay.
For my story, go to Madison County, Nebraska, where a traffic stop turned into a bizarre arrest after deputies found a nude driver hauling stolen motorcycles and drugs. Once again, we have committing a crime while in the act of committing another crime. Deputy was patrolling Highway 81 Sunday, August 10th around 1 a.m. when he found a pickup truck pulling a flatbed trailer without functioning lights. When deputies activated their emergency lights, pickup truck failed to stop immediately and continued driving north before turning east onto the Northeast Industrial Highway. Pickup truck was hauling 2 motorcycles. When deputies approached the vehicle, they found the pickup's driver, later identified as 47-year-old Kip Polston of Iowa, completely nude and using a pair of pants to cover himself. When Polston was asked why he was naked, he stated he was hot and allergic to his own sweat. That's an excuse. He also admitted to deputies his driver's license had expired and possibly was suspended. Dispatch later confirmed it was suspended. During the interaction, Polston's alertness deteriorated rapidly. After regaining his composure, he was arrested for driving under suspension. He told deputies he had marijuana concentrates. He had a pipe and a dab with him. Which the deputies found. They also found a black pistol case containing a BB gun. And as Polston was placed inside the patrol car, deputies say he resisted non-violently, dropped to the ground, refused to move. After the arrival of a backup deputy, he was transported to the Madison County Jail. They ran the motorcycles through dispatch. One of them was reported stolen. The other was registered to a different person and was not listed as stolen. So he's facing multiple charges.
Clearly.
Look, drive sober and with your clothes on, and you might have gotten away with your motorcycle theft. You might have. You just might have.
Yeah.
Even with the non-functioning lights. Like, they pull you over for the non-functioning lights, you're not going to automatically assume, oh, yeah, that motorcycle's hot, and you might be too. No. Like, literally keep your pants on.
Yeah.
That wins today. Does that beat Not Really a Nurse?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we're going to stick with the medical fraud story as our champion here on What Is Wrong With You. We'll take a timeout when we come back. Michael Swain of Fog.net for Jayhawk Weekly. We are joined on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline by Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. This is Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. We do it every Tuesday at this time. Michael covers the Jayhawks for Fog.net, again, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. And Michael, we're just about done with fall camp. We got Media Day coming up. I believe it's Thursday, and then it's full steam ahead to the start of the season. How ready are you?
Very ready. It was funny. I was watching some YouTube last night, and I saw on the side of my For You thing highlights of the KU Oklahoma game, and I was like, oh, you know what? I've not watched these since probably the week of the game 2 years ago from 2023, and I forgot how crazy a game that was. But yeah, I think it got me fired up for the start of the season and getting to see the 2/3 of a new stadium and getting to see fans experience that. So really looking forward to it. Finally, kind of the talking season, dog days of camp, all that stuff's over with. And we actually have some real football to talk about.
There's some great stuff behind the VIP wall over at Fog.net. I want to encourage people, again, to be a subscriber to 24/7 Sports Network so you can read the VIP stuff that Michael puts out there at Fog.net. You've got some stuff in there about the end of camp and where things kind of stand. I wanted to ask you in particular, you've got a list of guys you think are the most intriguing Jayhawks heading into the 2025 season. When you put that list together, how did you come up with the list of intriguing guys? Is this a list of guys that you feel like might be more important to the Jayhawks than you anticipated, who had better camps than you anticipated? What group of guys, what kind of is a commonality about the guys who intrigue you the most going into 2025?
Yeah. So what gave me the thought of it was I was thinking about last year and how just, I think, unintriguing camp was because there were so many players that were back that everyone knew. And look, there are some players in that list that were on the team last year. But I tried to think of guys that, hey, who are going to be the sway guys, right? Who is going to have the chance to make an impact that could sway a game for KU? A lot of times we hear Lance Leipold talk about the margins, and that was kind of the thought process behind it, or who are some of the guys that could help KU in the margins. One of them was very clear, Jaylen Daniels. Yes, it's going to be an intriguing year for him to see if he can put it together, right? You saw the ups and downs of last season. You've seen him play consistently for a month at a time, but he has not put together a complete season. Can he do it? Another guy like Gage Keys coming back to KU. He's not played a lot of football in the last year, right? Didn't play at Auburn that much, and he's back. What type of role can he have? Because you look back at the 2023 season, and he was KU's best defensive tackle over kind of the final 3 weeks of the season. So what type of level of play is KU going to get out of Gage Keys this fall? So it's players like that I think aren't going to be maybe straightforward, right? Guys that you're not knowing what their role is going to be and what exactly it's going to look like. Dean Miller, not that intriguing. You know what he is and what he's going to offer you. But I think there's so many other players on the team. And honestly, I had to cut some out. I probably could have done a list of 15 if I really wanted to. But I think it's just a very intriguing team overall, and narrowing it down in some of those players that are going to play this fall and are going to potentially have the chance to swing games for KU. I think it's just an interesting way to look at the roster as you kind of head into the season.
You mentioned Jaylen Daniels first there. What is the word on how he's performed, how he's looked, how he's felt physically in this camp? Because, look, he's a talented and veteran quarterback in a league full of them. And what teams get out of their quarterbacks is going to go a long way towards determining where they factor in the Big 12 race. KU has one they can feel really good about, but what have you been hearing and what have you seen from JD6 at camp?
Yeah, the indications have been really positive. And I think after the way things went last year, where, he didn't do a lot in the spring, and then they were very cautious with him to start camp. I think it was a little bit of a different situation. Over the summer, Jaylen was doing a lot of throwing. In the start of camp, he was able to do a lot of throwing, and I don't think there was necessarily the same kind of training wheels, if you will, that he had maybe last year. And so I'm not expecting early season rust. I think he's still got some new wide receivers, and there's going to be some timing stuff that has to be worked out. That's just a part of the game. But I think generally, right, the indications have been positive. If you like to use Lance Leipold as your indicator. He has spoken very highly of Jalen, the way that he's approached things, the fact that it's very, very much been a business approach for him. Since last year, all of his really close friends, right, his roommates from last year that he was with for multiple years, they're all gone. And this is his last ride, and it's his last chance to make an impact. So he has definitely, I think the indications have been there that he's done a good job of approaching things the right way, that he's played well in practice, and most importantly, he's been healthy. So, I'm sure every Kate fan's knocking on wood right there, but it's making for what should be on paper a good start to the season for Jalen. And it's just going to come down to, man, can he have those same big time plays that he's made in his career, but can he do it over the course of 12, 13 plus weeks?
Michael Swain of Fog.net is our guest here on 580 Sports Talk. He joins us for Jayhawk Weekly on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. KU got some good news about their preseason all-league center, Bryce Foster. Sounds like he should be a go for week 0 against Fresno State. You feel pretty good about the returning guys on this offensive line. That's 60% of it. You've got him, you've got Calvin Clements, you got Baines as well, returning as a starter. But those other 2 spots on the offensive line, what does the competition for that look like? And how confident are you that KU's offensive line can hit the ground running, especially the fact that it can congeal around 3 guys that they do expect to be really good right away?
Yeah, so obviously, right, you feel good about your center and right guard, Kobe Baines, Bryce Foster. That's going to be an experienced physical tandem. Calvin Clements, man, I'm so excited to watch him because he was someone that I think coming out of high school, you knew he had just the raw physical talent. It was just going to be a matter of when could it kind of click for him in the weight room where he's able to get stronger. And I'm really fired up to watch Calvin this year. So then you get to right tackle where it's been Nolan Gorska and Enrique Cruz. Gorska, kind of a program guy, and there'll be kind of a theme here with that. He played a little bit last year early in the season, and then when Calvin got healthy, he was supplanted by Calvin as kind of a third tackle who rotated in. Well, he then goes out in the summer and gets Enrique Cruz from Syracuse. Guys played some right tackle, played some left tackle, experienced player. And so we've seen this over the past years that when guys come in over the summer, it is hard to hit the ground running, right? Bryce Foster did not win the starting job until kind of the second week of camp. And it's not been as clear as it was with Foster this year. And so I think right tackle is about what's going on. If you made me pick, I think I'd probably say Enrique Cruz starts. But, man, it wouldn't shock me if you see kind of some in-season competition where guys have to keep battling week in and week out to be consistent, be the one that starts. And then left guard is the one that I think for me is maybe slightly a little more concerning just because of the fact that, you've kind of got 2 guys that going into it, you knew were going to be in the competition, right? James Livingston, a program guy, was a part of the first recruiting class for Leipold. I think that was the 2021 class or 22 class. I can't remember exactly, but so he's been around. He started as a tackle, moved to guard, huge guy, 6'7", like 315. And then KU goes and gets Tavake Tuikolavatu from UCLA, who is another big physical guy. He's 6'5", 325. And so those 2 guys have been battling it out. And then over the course of camp, Amir Herring, a former 4-star recruit, transfer from Michigan, he's put himself in a position to maybe earn a spot, if not on the 2 deep, as a part of maybe a guard rotation. So the guard spot, and nobody, I think, has really gone out and totally grabbed it. That's one that could even be maybe a game week type of position battle. But look, we got to see. We'll see what Lance Leipold has to say about it on Thursday at Media Day, because at that point, KU's got, 5 practices between then and the start of the season, between, when you go out there and name a starter. But so right now, I feel good about kind of 3 spots, 3.5 maybe, coming around on right tackle a little bit. I think the left guard spot is going to be a question mark going into the year. And so I don't know if it's going to be the same quality overall offensive line as we've seen KU have, because if we're being serious here, like you look back at what KU had, they had a draft pick and Bryce Steele, a guy that should have been drafted in Logan Brown. He would have been drafted if he hadn't gotten kicked off Wisconsin. And then you go the year prior, you got Dominic Cooney, who got drafted and is now started with the Niners. Like KU has had some NFL talent along the offensive line in recent years. I think there is NFL talent on this line. It just might take some more time to develop and take time for this unit to come together. So week 2, game 3 against Missouri, man, we are going to learn a lot about this offensive line, because that Missouri defense is no freaking joke.
Another spot where there's a lot of playing time, starting roles even up for grabs, is the defensive backfield. Obviously, KU lost so much experience, so much talent in that spot last year. How is that shaking out? Are we going to have a pretty clear idea of who that is going to include, or is it going to be a bit of a surprise who rolls out there as the 5 starters or the 4 starters plus in that defensive secondary when Fresno State and Kurt Warner's kid come to town in a couple of Saturdays?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. And what I love about that room right now is some of the young talent coming through. It reminds me a little bit of the 2021 season when Kobe and Melo got thrown into the fire. Man, you look at what KU has talent-wise. Jalen Todd played a little bit last year, has put together a really good offseason, super talented player. Austin Alexander, a guy that probably was maybe one of the more underrated top recruits in that 2024 class, but KU went into Illinois and got him over some Big Ten schools, and he had a ton of visits set up. And then you've got someone like Jaleel Hurley, right? Former top 100 recruit out of Alabama, super athletic kid. And those 3 guys are kind of your high-end talents. Then you've got an experienced player in DJ Graham who has been a little banged up during camp. And so it's going to come down to a question of, all right, who gets the second spot? Jalen Todd starting at one side. Who can win that third spot? Can Graham get healthy in time to take the spot that I think for much of this year people thought was going to be his? Or is it going to come down to who wins out between Alexander and Hurley? So that's kind of the bigger position battle there at corner. It's kind of that second starting spot, regardless. You like the talent. Again, if it is going to be an Alexander or Hurley that starts, you've got a lot of inexperience there. And I think there are going to be some growing pains like you saw with Kobe and Melo in 2021, where, man, there are some awesome plays they make. But, man, there are also some plays where you're like, what exactly happened? So, interesting spot in the defensive backfield. Love the talent. I like the starters at safety with Lyric Rawls and Taylor Davis. And so it's just going to come down to health. And the question of health with the starters and Rawls and Davis, can they stay healthy? Or with someone like Graham, can he get healthy? So plenty to watch for there heading into week 0.
Couple more questions for Michael Swain of Fog.net, joining us for Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk, as he does it every Tuesday at this time. A change coming to the KU men's basketball coaching staff. Chase Buford departing Lawrence. He's going to join the staff of my Denver Nuggets. Do you have any information on how that went down and what role Buford's going to be playing at the NBA level?
Yeah, so this is something that's been kind of going on a little bit behind the scenes. So if you go back to when Will Wade left McNeese State earlier this offseason, I heard a little bit that Chase Buford kind of threw his hat in the ring there to try and get his shot as a college basketball head coach. He's someone that had a lot of success in the G League, over in the NBL in Australia. Like, if you look at his coaching resume, it's pretty legit in terms of the times he's been a head coach. His teams have won. So he tried to get a college job. That didn't happen. And so he was coming back to KU as an assistant. And then this opportunity with Denver came up where it's not been formally announced yet, but I think it's going to be some sort of assistant role. I don't know the exact title. But yeah, he's going to go to the NBA and get his shot as an assistant coach there and try and work his way up through the ranks there. So it's obviously an opportunity for someone that, worked in the G League, has worked in the professional ranks before, to go and work for a pro organization. And then for KU replacing him, they'll have a candidate on campus this week for an interview. That's something that I can't really talk about a name right now, but that'll come out later on if things go well with the interview and all that. So KU's already working on the replacement. I think it'd be a good hire if it happens. But yeah, so Chase Buford on the way out, on the way to the NBA, KU working on getting his replacement in.
What is the most important trait, if you can answer this question, what is the most important trait for the replacement on the staff? Are they looking for X's and O's, recruiting? What kind of void are they going to have with Buford leaving the staff?
Well, I can kind of give you a canned answer here. You want to have the guy that can do a little bit of everything. Because that's what, Chase Buford was a guy that was very good with analytics, very good with X's and O's. Now, the question you have is, okay, you brought in Jacques Vaughn. Is he going to be a guy that's going to go grind on the recruiting trail? Or is he a guy that's going to do a lot for you in terms of play style, X's and O's? I think it's a little bit more of the latter than the former. And that's perfectly fine. So to supplement that, maybe you do go find someone that is a proven recruiter, a guy that has built relationships with players in college in the past. So that's the way I think about it. I think for Bill Self, anytime you have an assistant job open at Kansas and Bill Self's head coach, there are going to be a ton of candidates who are going to put their name in the mix. And so we'll see if things get over the line with the candidate. I think it'd be a good hire if it does, but man, this day in college basketball, you never know until everything's signed. So we'll have to wait and see. But I think for KU, if you can find someone that's a good recruiter, you can never have too many good talent acquisition people. But if KU goes the route of X's and O's as well, you definitely can't go against that. And I can make an argument for you either way. It just depends on which one you want me to make.
If you want to be the first to know, go be a VIP subscriber at fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network, and read all about it with Michael Swain, who joins us every Tuesday here on 580 Sports Talk for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week, and we'll be previewing a football game next week.
Yes, can't wait. It's been too long.
That is Michael Swain. We'll take a timeout, come back, wrap up this 4 o'clock hour. 580 Sports Talk next. Let's wrap up this 4 o'clock hour with some random question Tuesday. What is your favorite of the American chain restaurants, the American chain sit down, which you would call fast casual? So not like your fast food, but your fast casual chain of choice. I read a feature today in Slate, I think, about Chili's and how Chili's has thrived in the 2020s when other places like it have not.
I would say Chili's or Applebee's, only because Applebee's, when we were in college, they would do half price apps, and their Applebee's restaurant in Huntington was literally diagonal from the bar. So we would go, we would go there for half price apps, then go to the bar, or they would do quarters beer at the bar, and then that'd be from 4 to 6, and then we go eat dinner at Applebee's and then go back to the bar later.
Nice. Yeah, I was always a Chili's guy. When I was a kid, it was a real special treat to go and get like a bottle of IBC root beer, and now it's a special treat as an adult to go get a triple dipper. So
yeah.
What's your question?
Have you or somebody in your life ever been misidentified so many times, like the relationship to you? Because you do it occasionally on accident on the show for my girlfriend Olivia, but over the weekend she was at Rock the Plains, and Andrea, one of our coworkers, said to me, "Hey, I got a good picture of you and your wife today."
I guess you should take that as a compliment, right?
Yeah.
At this stage. No, I cannot say that has ever happened to me. We did though have one time on the show a YouTube commenter say that Fulton Castor, former host of Mic'd Up, looked like my son. I had 8 kids at the time. They say he looked like my son, which is one of the wildest things I think I've ever heard on this radio program. Coming up at the 5 o'clock hour, headlines, Mitch Holthus, and a Royals preview on the final hour of today's edition of 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. Third and final hour on this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. On the sports voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis, rocking with you until 6, and then we'll pass the baton to the Royals Baseball Network for Game 2 of the 3-game series at the K between the Royals and the Nationals. Royals took Game 1 last night, 7-4. Pre-game coverage at 6. First pitch, 6:40 tonight here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. So we have one more hour together today. I believe tomorrow is a day game.
Yes, it is.
So we will be on following Royals baseball tomorrow around 1:10 first pitch. So we'll probably be on about 4, give or take, barring like a 17-inning game, which I don't do those anymore.
Yeah. You know why
I miss the 15, 16, 17 inning game where nobody is scoring. The last guy in your bullpen is pitching his 3rd inning and has no juice left. Like, it's just a bunch of 1, 2, 3s. Everybody wants to go home, but nobody can free the game from its prison cell that it exists in. I miss those. We lost those with the stupid Rob Manfred ghost runner, the fake base runner in extra innings, but I miss those games. They were so rare, but especially like a late night, like if it's happening on the West Coast, there's still a game on like 1 o'clock Central Time, 1 a.m. Watch like the 14th inning of a Mariners Astros game in Seattle. Man, I miss those things. I miss those things.
October 4th/5th of 2014, the 2014 NLDS Game 2, Giants Nationals, 18 innings.
18 innings.
It lasted over 6 hours.
I remember that one. Yeah, I remember that one. One of the longest playoff games of all time.
Yeah,
it's not the longest.
It was a 2-1 game. Brandon Belt won with a solo shot in the 18th inning.
I remember. I hated those Giants teams. So I was pulling pretty hard for your Nationals at the time. I do. I miss those games. I remember once the Rockies and the Padres played a 22-inning game, and I stayed up for all of it. I was in college.
I think so. I remember that game. I wasn't supposed to stay up. I think I had the big test or something the next day. But I stayed up. And the game started at like 8. They pushed it back an hour because it was the playoffs. So it was like an 8 o'clock start on the East. And it was like 2:15 in the morning and it ended.
Crazy. We will get in a little more baseball later on this hour. We'll preview games 2 and 3. We'll look ahead to game 3 of this Royals Nationals series. We'll also have Mitch Holthus join us in about 15 minutes. Mitch Holthus, voice of the Chiefs, will join us for another training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee and Zurich Credit Union. Did he tell you guys yesterday who today's profile is going to be? Did he just give you a hint?
I can't remember if he did or not. He just said it's grit week.
It is.
Nitty-gritty week.
Nitty-gritty week. And it's Isaiah Pacheco today.
Yeah.
I said I'd keep it close to the vest. It's Isaiah Pacheco today. We will hear from the former 7th-round pick and a player who is really important. I think it's weird. We'll talk to Mitch Holthus, how we kind of think about Isaiah Pacheco. Like, kind of feel like, okay, well, maybe it's, and this is the nature of the position he plays, where you start to think, maybe it's time to move on to the next thing, the next guy, find the next guy.
Yeah.
But when Pacheco has been healthy, he has been very good. And if he can get back to health, he's got a chance to be that kind of productive again. And, man, what a boost that would be if the Chiefs get some explosiveness back in the running game. So that's coming up later this hour as well. We want to hear from you. Text line is open, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also interact with us on the YouTube chat. If you are watching the program on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk is the name of the channel. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you've not done so already, you should totally do that, because we are getting closer and closer to that magic number whereupon Brendan Brzezinski and I will arm wrestle. We gained a subscriber today. We're up to 782. We are 18 subscribers away from the brawl to end it all arm wrestling style between Dan and Brendan. So you could be 783 right now. If you're not subscribed to the YouTube, go subscribe. Again, the name of the channel is 580 Sports Talk.
So we're going to have like a whole production meeting about how we're going to do this, because Brendan and I yesterday discussed that this might have to be like a non-live on the show thing because of the space in these two rooms.
We'll see. I think it needs to be live on the show.
I think it does too, but I don't know how it would work.
I think we can maybe make it work over here on the side, or I think we can make it work. I think we'll figure out the specs and everything when we get closer.
Yeah.
But go subscribe to the YouTube channel 580 Sports Talk. Let's get to some 580 Sports Talk headlines, shall we? We'll start with some Royals notes from Ann Rogers of MLB.com, who's got some injury notes on some Royals pitchers. First, the not good news for Hunter Harvey. He's got a grade 2 groin strain, received a pain-killing injection today. Matt Contreras saying it will be a significant amount of time that Harvey is sidelined, but that the club is hopeful they can get him back this season. He's been terrific this year. Hasn't allowed an earned run. It's been 10 innings over the course of 4.5 months because he cannot stay healthy. And this was a problem for him his entire career. Surely it was a risk the Royals knew they were taking. They could not have known it would backfire quite like this. That they just have not been able to get Hunter Harvey on the mound. You've seen it be really good when he's out there, but unfortunately, the most important ability that he lacks is availability. So it doesn't sound like we're going to see Hunter Harvey anytime soon, and maybe not for the rest of 2025, though the Royals are hopeful. Here's some good news. Cole Reagans threw a bullpen today. 15 pitches, said he felt good. As long as everything checks out tomorrow and in the coming days, he'll throw another bullpen session. Remains on track in his progression to return to the Royals rotation in September. Boy, what a boost that would be if the Royals are still hanging around the wild card race by then. Michael Lorenzen is on his way back sooner than that. He threw 5 2/3 innings in his rehab start on Sunday. His next outing will be with the big league club. Matt Contreras confirmed that today. So the next time Lorenzen pitch, it'll be in a Royals uniform. When that is and how the Royals reconfigure their rotation with his return is still to be determined.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Bailey Falter to the bullpen.
Yeah, probably at this point. Or I think he has minor league options. You could option Falter and just have Lorenzen be in that spot. It's not too tricky. Get an extra day rest. He pitched Sunday and Falter pitched Monday. So the next time you would need Falter's turn in the rotation would be Sunday because the Royals have the off day Thursday. Yeah, it'd be a week between outings. That would be a pretty simple transition, but the Royals haven't made that decision yet. They just know that Lorenzen will be returning to the big league rotation. So those are notes from Matt Contreras' media availability earlier today at the K before tonight's game against the Nationals. Give us a headline, Spencer.
Yeah, in the biggest announcement that Travis Kelce has made in the last, or that's been made about Travis Kelce in the last 24 hours, he's been named number 37 on the NFL's top 100 players of 2025. In the 3.5-minute feature video that they posted, Jameis Winston says him and Patrick Mahomes are the greatest duo. They're up there with Scotty and Michael, referring to Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan.
Wow.
Yes.
High praise from Jameis Winston. I've spoken my piece on the top 100, but again, players, recognized game, typically, and not surprised to see Kelce ranked. A little surprised to see him that high still, but not surprised to see him get that recognition from his peers. Everybody in the world knows who's on the next episode of New Heights. Like, I think literally everybody in the world. Like, there are caves in Botswana where people are aware that Travis Kelce's lady friend is going to be on the next episode of the New Heights podcast. Did you read the GQ profile today?
I did not. I saw it was a thing.
Pictures.
I saw a couple of them.
That man got fried in the locker room today for some of those pictures. I can guarantee you they were making fun of him for some of those pictures. And that's Travis willing to be Travis. That's who he is. I thought it was really, really good read. It's at GQ.com. You can go read it online today. How Travis Kelce spent his summer vacation, I believe is the title of the article. He's going to be on the cover of GQ. And I thought the most revealing thing about it was when he said, maybe I got away a little bit the last 2 off seasons from doing what I really needed to do physically over the summer because I was doing some other stuff.
Yeah.
And that's a surprising admission that, a lot of guys late in their careers have accomplished as much as he has, would be too proud to make. But a bit of an acknowledgement that, maybe he got too far into the entertainment world and got away from some things that he tried to get back to in preparation for this 2025 season.
I mean, I said that too. I said that on the show last week, maybe it was. I said that I think I said it when we were talking to Mitch Holthus about Travis Kelce, that like, he's not going to say it, but like, obviously him jet setting and being in movies contributed to something, right? Like,
yeah,
that's not a normal off season for him.
It's not. Yeah, it's been very
vacationing,
abnormal.
yes.
Yeah.
But not doing what he did last summer.
He got back to some basics, went back to train with somebody he had trained with for the majority of his career. And there's some interesting quotes in there. And I think Travis Kelce is one of the most fascinating professional athletes we've had this quarter century. And I think he's going to have a very interesting and a very easy transition to post football from everything that I can see. But go read the profile. It's good stuff at GQ.com today about Travis Kelce. Next headline. This is our latest gambling scandal from the world of sports. It takes us to college football. Oklahoma starting quarterback John Mateer has denied ever being involved with gambling, saying that references to sports gambling on his Venmo account were inside jokes with his friends. So there were some screenshots posted online Monday night of John Mateer, who's the transfer to Oklahoma from Washington State, going to be their starting quarterback, his Venmo transaction history. Y'all got Venmo, right? You got Venmo?
Yeah.
I've had Venmo for a long time.
I got something to contribute to this story.
Okay.
Here in a little
all right. We're going to lay the story out here. So somebody posing as a reporter, but apparently not even a real person.
Wow.
Posing as a reporter posted some screenshots of John Mateer's Venmo account and transactions on November 20th of 2022 when he was a freshman at Washington State, transactions he made to a teammate at Washington State at the time. And in the memo for the transaction, because if you've used Venmo, you send the money and then you have an option to put what the money's for. And he put, for two transactions, sports gambling. And on one of them, he put sports gambling and then in parentheses, USC versus UCLA, which was a game that had been played. You're not allowed to gamble on sports if you are a student athlete in the NCAA, which everyone is aware of. Mateer posted to his X account today, the allegations that I once participated in sports gambling are false. My previous Venmo descriptions did not accurately portray the transactions in question, but were instead inside jokes between me and my friends. I have never bet on sports. I understand the seriousness of this matter, but recognize that, taken out of context, those Venmo descriptions suggest otherwise. Are you telling me somebody might put something silly in the Venmo memo description? That would never happen.
No,
right?
No, not at all. Not that I've never done anything. I can read you some of my funny ones from back in college.
Any of them appropriate?
Yeah, they're not. It's nothing like.
I usually just put an emoji. Like when I paid for fantasy football, I sent the commissioner of my fantasy football league, I sent him the entry fee, and I just put a football emoji.
Yeah.
Like that's typically what I do. Also, my Venmo transactions are private to my friends. Unless you have done Venmo business with me, you can't see what Venmo business I'm doing.
Yeah. Can I read you a few, man?
Do it.
Get that 30. That referring to a 30 rack of beer.
Okay. Sure.
Throw down. Yeehaw. Throw in. For a party. This one's funny. For covering me at the Lion's Den. That was a joke.
Okay.
It was an inside joke at the time. My buddy got his grandparents' car, and they lived in Virginia, and I was in West Virginia. So we were joking, and he sent me money for something, and he just said, Virginia license plates. Not for Virginia license plates.
Mm-hmm.
I think for probably beer.
So you might post some things that would be jokes or would be like somebody on Blue Sky said, I have put erotic massage as the memo in every single Venmo transaction I have ever done as a joke. I'm
looking back on one and that says F the Pats.
Okay.
So that was from the Super Bowl party that we had.
Yeah, man. Like it's obviously a really stupid thing to put in the memo, but also it proves absolutely nothing, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing that's going to come of this other than making John Mateer have to collaborate with somebody in compliance and write that apology that got posted to X earlier today. Just some silliness. And then when you add to the fact that this person who was posing as like this reporter does not appear to be a real person, was using the avatar with a picture of somebody who is not by that name. It just is a very weird story.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know why, like, what makes you search someone's Venmo transaction history?
I mean, I
go
will
private,
say,
people. Go private, especially if you're famous and you have something to lose. Just go private.
I
Go
will
private
say
on
it is
everything.
funny back in college, and sometimes like if I'm Venmoing somebody for like something they sent me or whatever,
Mhm.
I will go and look at the public ones of my friends. It is funny
Yeah.
sometimes to read because you
Like,
clearly
I've gotten Venmos from my friends, and they put like drugs in the So yeah, like here we got a story here from the 785 on the text line. Be careful what you put in the Venmo. I jokingly put fine Persian rug one time, and it got flagged and my account locked down, so DHS could investigate. Holy Moses!
jeez.
Yeah, man, you got to be careful. Learn. John Mateer went through that, so hopefully y'all don't have to go through that. And definitely, yeah, if you're a college athlete, don't put anything even sort of adjacent to sports gambling. Let that be a lesson for us.
I got one. I just opened mine, and somebody sent somebody that I know a taxidermied saber-toothed tiger.
Yeah, there you go. Obviously not real.
Frozen rabbit's foot.
Maybe DHS will investigate them. We'll take a break here at 580 Sports Talk. That'll wrap up the headlines. When we come back, Mitch Holthus, the voice of the Chiefs, joins us for a training camp report. Next, 580 Sports Talk. Time 25 on 580 Sports Talk, and we are once again joined by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus, for a training camp report brought to us by Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azure Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey, Kirsten McCall, or Naseem Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. And Mitch, you love to give your weeks a theme, and the theme this week is nitty-gritty week, dirty work week. The guys who can do the little things, that dirty work to get the Chiefs back to their very best in 2025. And I love that we're starting with Isaiah Pacheco, because I think this is the proper way to kind of frame what his contribution to the 2025 team can be.
Well, and we love to play fantasy football with running backs and quarterbacks and wide receivers and tight ends. But the reality, football is where I look at it. And Isaiah Pacheco is, as Coach Reed would say, dirty tough. Now, he's had to endure a lot in his life. He lost 2 siblings that were murdered 18 months apart when he was at Rutgers. And so he had to help his family there through the worst of times. But after the fractured fibula last year, keep in mind, his first 2 years, 2,100 all-purpose yards, a guy of touchdowns, like 35 touchdowns. And then last year to have that injury, missing 10 games. And when he came back, it wasn't his usual self. But Pacheco does the dirty work. We know he can do 48-yard runs against the Jets and Sunday Night Football in 2023. But it's the work that is required to keep the offense moving that Pacheco does best, with a little bit of a ability to burst. So I asked him, after all of this stuff, all of this rehab, where's he at right now in this training camp?
It's phenomenal. The guys are rolling, excited to what's come this season. Most importantly, the fans here, they bring the energy out of us, and you get to see a lot of new faces.
When you went into this offseason, what were your priorities personally?
Training hard, making sure I came back physically prepared, and not only that, and just mentally, physically, and emotionally prepared for what's to come this year.
So he's mature. He's like these guys in his 4th year. He's back. He's looked good in this camp. We just got to get him some help. And Kareem Hunt's a plow horse. Good. Last year, the Chiefs were number 1 in the league in second down and 4. But right now, Kareem's not 2017 Kareem, and he's not going to run away from anybody. The Chiefs were only 6 teams were worse than the Chiefs in running plays of 20 yards or more. The Chiefs only had 7 all year. So they've got to find some help for Pacheco in that running back room and some explosiveness in both the run game and passing game.
It was obvious, Mitch, that when Isaiah Pacheco came back after the injury last year, he didn't quite have that same burst and that same explosiveness, that same ability to run hard, get tough yards. And I think we probably understated just how difficult an injury like his was to come back from, particularly for a player who runs like him. So it's obviously wonderful to hear that he's feeling physically better, but what were the things that he had to do and needs to do to make sure that he does return that explosive element to the Chiefs running game? Because they missed that explosiveness all around last season, but it was certainly glaring in the run game that without him, they didn't have it.
Yeah, a couple things here. One is his responsibility, and 2, it's somebody else to help him, which is why I alluded to. But his workouts have been such to, get his core strength back, try to do some speed workouts, and get his confidence back. And that includes working in the passing game as a receiver. If he can get in space, he's not just doing all of his work inside the tackles. Get him in space a bit, whether it's a screen game, check down game, or all the stuff you run to running backs. Then that's been the kind of football part of it. The strength part of it is to get his core strengthened and all of those muscles that were atrophied, quite honestly. If you have a fractured tibia, you're not working on much of your other stuff, even though it's a skeletal injury. But we got to get him some help, too, meaning there's got to be the tag team action. Samaje Perine helped this team get to the Super Bowl last year. Now, Brashard Smith, he's got some explosiveness. He's got to kind of get going again. He's kind of backed up a bit, but he's got to start rolling. Kareem's going to be a plow horse. We got to have Kareem, but there's got to be somebody else. Carson Steele doesn't have that explosiveness. He's more of a replication of Pacheco. Elijah Mitchell, maybe. These next 2 preseason games are important for the ex-49er running back who went through his knee injury, and he's never been the same since a rookie year when he set the all-time San Francisco all-purpose yards record for a rookie in their franchise history. That's like Roger Craig and, dudes done for all through the years. There's got to be somebody else. Pop's got to have Hunt, but then there's got to be somebody else, and that somebody else has got to give some explosiveness to this running back room.
Mitch Holthus is our guest, the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, joining us for a training camp report presented by Hy-Vee and Azura Credit Union. An element that I think we were looking forward to maybe seeing more of from Pacheco going into last season was more opportunities on third down, more opportunities in the passing game. It was something where he didn't get on the field because the Chiefs had a great third down option in Jerick McKinnon, but also the blocking aspect, the pass catching aspect were works in progress for Pacheco. Last year, he got hurt, and then the Chiefs obviously had Samaje Perine kind of fill that role. Feels like they're still looking for that third down option. Is there a chance that Pacheco can fill some of those responsibilities, that he might be asked to do a little bit more pass protecting, do a little bit more pass catching, and add that to his game in a way that it looked like he was preparing to before the injury?
Yeah, he's improved a lot since 2022 when he was a rookie, but I wouldn't put him in the Pro Bowl because of pass protection yet. It's not exactly Perine level. I still have Perine, the image of Perine with Derwin James on an A-gap blitz. He's going to destroy Mahomes in the second Charger game, and Derwin James gets ear-holed by Samaje Perine and flattened like a pancake. That's not pop. And so, but it's not like he's terrible at it. So your inference here is, are there more snaps that Pacheco could play on third down and not just being freaked out about his protection issues? It's why Rashard Smith, to me, if he could commandeer just some protection, then he's so explosive at 4.35 speed that circles and angles and wheel routes and checkdowns can become big plays. They're not designed to be big plays necessarily, but they turn into big plays because of the athleticism. And Perine wasn't going to do that either, even though he hit us with a 41-yard touchdown in the AFC Championship game when he was a Cincinnati Bengal. That's not Perine. He's not going to run a check down for 60 yards. Rashard Smith can, but then he's got to add some of the elements of Kareem Hunt and Isaiah Pacheco to his game. So right now it's not bad. That's a good room, but there are some holes. And be that as it may, Pacheco's not going to be Saquon Barkley. You're not going to give him, 2 zillion carries, particularly coming off this fractured fibula. I think he's going to hold up.
Mitch, the running game for the Chiefs, like we talked about the tangible stuff that was missing for it last year. They didn't have that explosiveness, that ability to take a run 20, 30, 40 plus yards that Pacheco had flashed in his first couple of seasons. But I think there's an intangible factor. There's an identity that it felt like the Chiefs running game lost when Pacheco went out, that the way that he runs, it's a violence, for lack of a better term, with which he runs. And I think that permeates throughout the team when you watch a guy run the way that he does. I think that gets the offensive line going. I think that gets the quarterback excited. How much does the rest of the team look forward to having a rejuvenated and a healthier Isaiah Pacheco back because of that identity and that energy that he brings when he's going well?
Yeah, no question. And that's what he was referring to early on when he talked about how good this camp has been for him. And he said the fans, we've had as many as 6,000 fans out here in some days, that he's been energized. And I'll see him play to the fans. Like he'll finish a run out at 15 yards and run to the end zone, and the fans will go crazy, and he kicks the ball up into the stands kind of stuff. But I think that has been part of he talked about his mental and emotional recovery from his injury. And I think that's part of that. Well, because of that energy feeds Pacheco then to relay that energy onto his teammates. And you're right. Nothing thrills an offensive lineman more than to see a running back fight for extra yards once they passed them and get up the field and get 5 to 7, 8 more yards. Now, Kareem Hunt will do that too. He rarely takes a loss on a run. Kareem just doesn't have the 2017 Kareem, I'm going to run away from you. Pop still has some of that. He doesn't have enough of that, which is kind of the thesis of this episode, is that we need to get a guy that will run a basic play and turn it into a touchdown. And if you have that in the room where you've got all of that working, then you've got a chance to be really good and much improved at the running back position.
We're joined by Mitch Holthus here for the training camp reports brought to you by Hy-Vee and Azure Credit Union. And Mitch, this is year 4 for Pacheco, obviously really like full year 3, essentially, if we can stay healthy because of last year. He's got a contract year coming up. How does he take his game to the next level this season? Obviously, if you look back to what he did in 23, he had nearly 1,000 yards on the ground. But how does he improve his game and continue to get him another contract in this league? Because for running backs, it's hard to maybe get that second contract.
I know it's in essence only his third year, but we got to also factor in his playoff games. So he's had on 10 playoff games, because he even came back from the injury to play in last year's. So this class of 22 is 9-1 in the playoffs. So you got to add that as almost like 3.5 years, and plus those are hard games. They're like high-level pitches or high-stress pitches in baseball. But to answer your question, he's got to be a second and third level threat in the passing game. Be a better protector. He's working at it. He's tracking forward. We just went over that 3 paragraphs ago. But he's got to be a pass threat, and he's got to be put a little fear in a safety or a linebacker when he's running a wheel or a circle or a angle route out of the backfield or screens. That's the next part of him. It's not been easy for him in that regard. It doesn't come natural to him. It does to Rashard Smith, but he was a wide receiver at Miami of Florida before transferring to SMU and being a running back. So Pop continues to work at that, but our answer to you would be, he's got to be more effective as a second and even third level receiver as a running back. And you can get to the third level without catching it at the third level. You just got to be tackle breaker and explosive at the first and second level to get to the third level and get a play of 50 yards or like his 48-yarder against the Jets, but do that with more frequency.
Last thing I want to ask you, Mitch, we heard earlier today from Mike Bradway, the assistant general manager. He spoke up in St. Joe earlier today.
Mm-hmm.
He's moved up the organizational ladder, now the assistant GM to Brett Veach. And they talked about the amount of work that goes into, one, it's hard to get down to 53 when you have as many talented players in camp as it appears that the Chiefs do. But also, like last year, after the 53-man cut, they found Samaje Perine. He was a huge part of last year's team.
Yep.
So how much, if you can speak to this at all, how much tape are Brett Veach and Mike Bradway and the scouting staff, are they going through every snap, every preseason game? Or do they have a kind of an idea of, okay, this guy might be on the chopping block in another organization, but could potentially help us in a scenario where we needed help at a position? What is that process?
Well, they spread out the assignments. So Veach isn't going to watch all 16 preseason games with 32 teams, but he will spread them out. Like Bradway, might have some. Bradway might have some. You go right on down the line, including the area scouts like Sperduto and others. Terry Delp, a great Bend Panther, that they might sit there and, hey, you've got, or do they do it by divisions? But they also don't keep, I wish I could do this. I might do a whole nother episode where their draft boards don't go away. They will come back and look at a guy Elijah Mitchell is this way. We decided to go after Elijah Mitchell. Now he's got to show some more juice, but we went after Mitchell because of our draft grades that we had on him when he came out of college and was drafted by the 49ers. So all that circles back, and we think, well, it's the 25 draft's over, and just sweep all that away and put it in the shredder. Nope. They keep those files. They keep that look at, hey, keep this guy up on the board. Keep this guy up on the board. And so they keep a close tabs on guys that they want to keep in their radar. And many times we'll go back and sign guys down through the years that have been exactly that. Veach told me that this year. And so maybe in a later report, I'll hit that. But they're scanning the globe. Now, in this running back situation, it's rare to pick up what they need. You can get Perine, but can you get a 4.35 guy? Those guys are usually drafted and nobody lets them go. So I wish we had Perine, but we don't. And if Rashard Smith hits, boys, it is one of the gigantic keys to the season. Because now all of a sudden you can become explosive with a quasi third down back, or you split third down back roles with Kareem Hunt and with Rashard. But you can throw a 5-yard check down to Rashard and he can run for 80 yards. And that's been lacking since Kareem's rookie year of 2017 and early 18 before the incident he had. So that's what you're looking for. The problem is recircling around and looking up your board that you've recycled. Those guys, how many 4.35 running backs are up there that are available? There ain't many, if any. So that's the quandary we're in. But it's an excellent question because the Chiefs keep tabs on all these guys.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, and his training camp reports throughout training camp are brought to us by Hy-Vee, your official tailgate headquarters for Kansas City Chiefs football, and by Azura Credit Union, where you can contact Crystal Rippey, Kirsten McCall, and Asim Khan about the credit union advantage for your next home loan. Mitch, can we get a preview of tomorrow on Nitty Gritty Week?
Yeah, to be a receiver in this offense, I've told you before, nitty gritty, you got to learn every position, and Andy Reid puts a lot on your plate. The same for Spags with defensive backs. You better be able to handle everything. But a guy that I'm really excited about, and he's a nitty gritty dude, and the ball seems to find him, is Jaden Hicks. His role now has increased tenfold, and he's got to grow up in a hurry in only his second year. But there's a lot of nitty-gritty to the former Wazoo Cougar, and that's where we go tomorrow.
Mitch Holthus is the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. And, Mitch, we look forward to talking to you tomorrow.
All right, man. Thanks.
That is Mitch Holthus. We will step aside for a timeout, come back, and continue on with this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk next. .544 on 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks again to Mitch Holthus for joining us for a training camp report. By the time we talk to you again tomorrow, the Royals and Nationals will be done with their series. That's because there is day baseball tomorrow. Tonight's game is 6:40 first pitch. Pregame coverage coming up in about 15 minutes here on 580 WIBW FM 104.9. Tomorrow it's a 1:10 first pitch from the K. Seth Lugo will be on the bump for the Royals against Washington's Jake Irvin. Jake Irvin, Mitchell Parker, either of those guys good, Spencer?
They started out really good. They got the call a couple years back, and they started pretty good. Now they're just average.
No, Mitchell Parker stopped striking guys out, it looks like. Striking out 8 per 9 in his rookie year last year, down to 6 per 9 last year, and that is very difficult to survive that as a major league pitcher in the year 2025. Jake Irvin also has stopped missing bats entirely. Gone from 7.5 strikeouts per 9 to 6. Pitching to contact.
Yeah. I mean, that's what a back end of the rotation guy is anyway.
Yeah, it's true. When you have a rotation full of them, that's how you go 47 and 71. Look, man, I gotta point out where other teams are struggling because you guys know how my favorite team is faring this season. But the Royals will counter with Michael Wacha, who's been their best pitcher since the All-Star break, and then Seth Lugo trying to get right after a couple of rough outings in a row. We have a Royals lineup for tonight's game. Be quite a feat to have one for tomorrow. And it is, as you would expect, against the left-hander Parker. Pretty right-hand heavy. Michael Garcia is in the leadoff spot tonight. He'll play third base. Bobby Witt Jr.'s at short. Vinny Pasquantino's at first. Salvador Perez is hitting cleanup tonight. Randall Grichuk will bat fifth and play right field. Get him some more at-bats against the lefty starter. Jonathan India bats sixth at second base. Adam Frazier, who is 8 for his last 10, is the DH tonight. He'll bat seventh. I can't make fun of him being the DH. He goes 8 for 10.
You got to have him in the lineup.
Yeah.
He's got to find a way in the lineup.
Can't take him out of the lineup right now, for sure. Nick Lofton's in left field. He made a great defensive play last night, a close ball game.
Yeah.
It was still 6-4, and he made that diving catch. That was when Zerpa was on the mound. It was the seventh, not the seventh, the eighth inning last night. Made a super catch, saved a run. Nick Lofton is in left field again tonight, batting eighth, and despite homering yesterday, Kyle Isbel not in the lineup. Tyler Tolbert gets a rare start in center field and will bat ninth. Like, Isbel's not any good against lefties. I understand the thought process behind it, but still, that's tough. Usually you homer one day, you play the next.
I mean, yeah, especially because he was hitting 393 in the month of August.
Yeah, and 333 since the All-Star break. So, yeah, he's been really good now for an extended, 3.5 week stretch, but not in the lineup against the lefty tonight. I guarantee you he will pinch hit.
Hey, watch out on Nats back in the lineup. Robert Hassel III.
Okay, we'll get to the Nationals lineup here. James Wood leading off again in left field, followed by C.J. Abrams at short. Josh Bell is DHing. Paul DeYoung batting cleanup at third base. Boy, if you want to talk about, hey, why are we 47-71? There are a lot of reasons. Bad teams are bad for many, many reasons. Cleanup hitter Paul DeYoung, though, is going to be one of those reasons, I'm afraid. You don't want to do that unless you're facing a lefty and you got some guys hurt.
Yeah.
More than likely. Nathaniel Lowe is the first baseman. He is batting fifth. Riley Adams does the catching. He bats sixth. Dalen Lyle is in right field, batting seventh. Luis Garcia is second baseman. He bats eighth. And Robert Hassel, the third, is batting ninth. He came over in the same trade that brought James Wood and C.J. Abrams.
And Mackenzie
Gore. Yeah, all those guys.
And the top pitching prospect they've got in the minors.
Yarlin Susana. He's on my fantasy team. He's in my minors in my fantasy league. I've got Wood and Abrams, too. Man, how is my team good? I got too many Nationals. How is my team good? I don't have any of their pitchers. That's why.
That's why. They can score, for the most part, they can score runs. They just can't keep up.
Robert Hassel, they just called him back up because I know they called him up and his first taste of the bigs didn't go great. Did they just call him back up? Or?
Yeah, they called him back up like Friday, maybe, I think.
Okay.
And he hadn't played. I think this is the first time he's going to play. Maybe he came in a pinch hit, but like all the Nationals people I was following, they're like, why call somebody up if you're not going to play him?
This is a preposterously young baseball team. You
take out Josh Bell, you take out Paul DeYoung, and
Wood's 22, Hassel's 23, Garcia's 25. Abrams is still only 24. Feels like he's been around forever. He's still only 24. Lyle is 22. This is a super young baseball team. He's not playing tonight, but he must be. Did he play last night, K-Bear Ruiz, or is he hurt?
He is on the concussion IL.
Okay. Yeah, he's only 26, which, for a catcher, a lot of those guys are late bloomers offensively. So, yeah, it's a super young baseball team.
Then a guy that played last night, not tonight, their third baseman prospect, Brady House, he's 22.
Yeah, he's only 22. Dylan Cruz been up. He's 23. Yeah, they got a ton of young dudes.
Yeah, Dylan Cruz close to coming back.
Listen, if you're going to be stinky, and again, the record is what it is, you better be stinky and young, right? Like, be young with lousy players. The Royals, again, they got Waka tonight. He's been terrific. 3 quality starts and 4 since the All-Star break. His ERA down to 3.36. The challenge will be keeping all that left-handed pop in the ballpark. When Waka has struggled this year, it has been because he has struggled to keep the ball in the ballpark. But of late, he has only allowed 1 home run in his 5 starts since the All-Star break. So, hey, there you have it. Like that is the key to success. So you got to keep James Wood in the ballpark. You got to keep C.J. Abrams in the ballpark. You got to keep Josh Bell, Nathaniel Lowe in the ballpark because those guys all have 15-plus home runs. In fact, Abrams, Bell, and Lowe have exactly 15 home runs. Wood has 25, though he hasn't been – he's struggled quite a bit since the All-Star break. He had better at-bats last night.
Yeah, he did. I will say,
like I said, he's on my fantasy. I keep very close track of James Wood.
I will say I'm glad this series is as late in the year as it is, because I was gonna go to when I saw they were playing here this year.
Like, want to go see your team?
Well, like last year they were on the road, and I was like, oh, so sweet. In 2025, they'll be in Kansas City. And then I saw the schedule, and I was like, yeah, that's no can do.
Yeah, that midweek is tough.
Well, especially when girlfriend's back at work.
Yeah,
being a teacher this week.
Yeah,
I'm glad
she can't exactly play hooky. She's got kids tomorrow, right?
Yeah,
yeah. Can't play hooky
I'm
tomorrow.
glad it worked out like this, and I didn't have tickets, so I don't have to go watch this, because I really don't want to go watch this.
No, totally understand. Yeah. I got to play a little hooky and see the Rockies back in April at the K, and that was when it was only like obvious that they were going to be bad and not like trending to historically bad at that point.
Somebody, one of my buddies texted me, he goes, you're not going to see them play, are you? Or he's like, are you going to the game tonight or tomorrow afternoon? You taking off? And I was like, no. no. So I'll watch the games.
It's tough. It's tough when your team stinks. You want to go rep for them, but they just aren't very good. Man, I'm looking at this graphic. They do like the fielding alignment. They do all these preview graphics, and I'm looking at the Nationals defense, and their defense stinks. They got a bunch of guys with negative fielding run value. C.J. Abrams, not good. Dalen Lyle, really bad. Riley Adams is -4 behind the plate. Maybe we see the Royals run a little bit.
So Riley Adams is not a good catcher, but they just don't have another guy on the 40-man. I don't think
he'll put on the gear.
Like, clearly, look at his average.
He'll put on the gear, and that matters as much in the major leagues as it does in like 8-9-year-old baseball.
Yeah.
Will you put on the gear? All right, hey, you go catch. Hey, sometimes you just got to find a volunteer.
Yeah, I mean, most of the time, ideally he's playing like once a week, if that, in your day game after a night game, maybe.
Final word coming up next here at 580 Sports Talk. Time for the final word on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Spencer Dupuis, lay it on me.
Yeah, not Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce named the number 37th overall player in the NFL's top 100. And while he had a down year last year, and the yardage wasn't there, the touchdowns weren't there, the yardage per catch wasn't there, he was still a team guy. Some people might think maybe he's a little selfish because of the summer he took in 2024. He still had 90 some odd catches. He was still the guy for Patrick Mahomes when he needed him. Maybe not the deep shots, maybe not the Travis Kelce that we know, but he was still there for him. And I think you give a guy a year that he had, the stardom, now he's kind of relaxed and now he's into a different life, and he had the training that he had. I think he's going to look more like the yardage that we might see from Travis Kelce might be the one that you're used to. Maybe not the touchdowns or the yardage in the end of the season. I meant like yardage per catch. And that's something good to see. I mean, Travis Kelce, legendary. That's the reason why he got picked number 37. You're not going to let a guy that's a first ballot Hall of Famer drop below 50 on the top 100 players of the year when he is still playing at a higher level than most. So, yeah, Travis Kelce checks in at number 37, and there's a reason for it.
Final word for me today. Typically, you would not think that a group of baseball players would get together and say, hey, we had a guy on our team last year with a 576 OPS. We really need that player back on our team. Can we get that player back on our team, please, Mr. General Manager, front office, sirs, please? Can we get that player back on our team? But that appears to be what happened, essentially, with Adam Frazier, that the Royals players, their leaders in the clubhouse, decided that that was a presence that they were missing, even if it was not production necessarily that they were missing. It's hard to argue with the results for Frazier so far in his 18 games as a Royal, but it just goes to show you that we get really granular when we talk about baseball on a day-to-day basis on a sports talk show like this. And at the end of the day, yeah, you got to produce. You got to contribute to winning. But over the course of 162 games, 6 long months, sometimes it's good to have a guy in the clubhouse who you like hanging out with. And if Adam Frazier's that guy for the Royals, so much the better, and good for him. Royals baseball is next, and tomorrow afternoon. We're back at you tomorrow after Royals baseball until 6 p.m. Until then, for Spencer Dupuis, I'm Dan Lucero, and this was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.